Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anointed Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Terry Linscott. Again, so grateful that you're joining me today. We're talking about communication, a key to success. Communication, a key to success. Let's jump in today, episode number 40. You ever had a moment of relapse, a moment of weakness, or a moment something did not get done, and the response was, I didn't know. Or I didn't know it was my job, or I didn't know I was supposed to do that. Or I didn't know that you wanted that done. I didn't know, or I don't know. I don't know about you, but to me as a leader, it's the worst response to any question is I did not know. I don't know, or I didn't know it was mine. Or a level of this, pointing the finger at somebody saying, well, it was their fault or theirs. And I drive this into my team. I really do, because I can't stand the I don't know answer. And I definitely cannot, I do not stand the blame game. These are the things and the components that create weaknesses and create failures in every church, in every event, in every business. Communication, a lack of it, will create weaknesses and failures in everything. Things will not get done. Things will go undone. Things will be missed, and people just will not take responsibility without communication and effective, proper communication. We've heard this, that knowledge is power. I also want to say knowledge is one form of power, and the information is the impartation of release of that power. So without information, knowledge is just knowledge. Without the impartation of the release through information, I may know we're doing an event, but I don't have enough information to successfully fulfill that event. If my task is to, let's just talk about it this way. If I was the guy that is the one assigned to enhance, manipulate, or whatever, a video for my church or for my business, it's marketing on social media, and that's my job, and I know that's my job. And let's say that on the video, they did not know that we should overlay with scripture, or we should overlay with, words popping up, whatever that looks like. And we just know I'm supposed to do it without the information of what you want me to do, then I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And at the end of the day, there is a frustration on the leader because it's not done the way they wanted it. And what we want to do as leaders, I'm going to help the leaders today, is we want to cast blame on the person doing the job when the person doing the job did not have all of the information they needed about the job. I'm just talking just real simple as in an analogy. Communication creates great failure or success depending on how you use it. I'm talking about how you do this. My whole point today is on communication, a key to success. 2 words I want to drive in. 1 is dispersion, and 2 is retrieval. It's the 2 forms of communication that when we understand disbursement and we understand retrieval, we will always find great success. We're talking about the information, the communication that we're getting across. Information does a few things. It equips. It gives me every bit of understanding. It gives me knowledge. It gives me the things, the tools and the resources I need to be able to do my job. The second thing information does, it prepares. It prepares me for what we're going into. It prepares me for the end process. It gets my mind thinking in the direction of where we're headed. It's a prepare. Information also pre-warns. It's the warning signs of be careful of these things. Watch out for this and watch out for that. That's what information does. We cannot just give, here's the task A, B, C, without giving TUV, right, of the preparation and the XYZ and the warning. You've got to give it all. And we've got to learn to disperse it, but we also have to get into retrieval. Watch, and I'm going to say information must be dispersed. We all agree with that. We completely agree with that. If we stopped right there, if we stopped with information must be dispersed and that's it, then all we're doing is putting the complete responsibility on the person that has the information. It's just their responsibility. But in my opinion, what I do with my staff, what I do with my team is this. I turn it and flip it and say, if this is ownership mentality, if we are owning the ministry together, we're owning the business together, the department together, whatever it is, if I'm doing it myself, then it all solely falls on me. But if you're going to come alongside me and partner with me in what God's called us to do, whether it's a business or a church, then you're going to have to take some responsibility on information as well, which means now information doesn't just need to be dispersed, but it must be retrieved. You must have this thought process. If you're going to have great communication, that it's not just disbursement, but there's a retrieval process. And that goes now, we take it from solely being upon the one that owns it to the one that's helping, and they both are responsible to get all of the information needed to accomplish a task. Listen, pastor, church leader, department head, business owner, manager, supervisor, whoever you are, if you'll understand this and get your team to fall in and buy into this, I'm telling you, the communication across the board will grow exponentially, which will create less holes and less opportunities for failure. It will create and generate great success in what you're doing. Watch. In this mindset, and if you can get across this mindset when about communication, there is really no excuse for not having the information you need, especially when it's mission critical, especially when that thing you're doing is critical to the mission, and there's no excuse to not have the information you need. We could sit there and be very lazy. Let me just help you real quick. Be very lazy and act like it's not our responsibility to go get some information. And we could simply be lazy and point the finger at the person that's over us, the boss, the leader, the one in charge, the PIC, whatever that is. You can point the finger, or you can pick up ownership and get into this idea that you're going to receive communication, go retrieve communication, go get information, rather than just sit back on your laurels and wait for it to come to you. This type of understanding and communication, watch, it puts the responsibility on all parties. This is what I've done in my ministry and in the church here at Abundant Life. And it's actually something we've implemented over the last few years. And we're still working this thing out. We still have some holes. We still have some problems. But everybody is mindful about it's everybody's responsibility to get the information. And so before I jump into disbursement and retrieval, I want to give you just a few communication rules, some things that I think we must understand in communication. The first thing I want to say about communication is repetition, 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 repetition. It's got to be repetitive. It has to be on repeat. It has to be a consistency, like a broken, a scratched record back in the day, a scratched CD that would just keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And this is the thing, you can never say it too much, even though it might be annoying, it might get on somebody's nerves, but without proper communication, you are definitely headed down for a downward spiral to failure. And you've got to have repetition, repetition, repetition going on. In communication, I'm going to give you some rules that Terry lives by. Number one, never take for granted that anyone knows what you know. Never take for granted that anybody knows what you know. Don't take for granted that everybody else thinks the way you think. Don't think that everybody owns it the way you own it. This is some things in communication rules that I have to remind myself consistently. Number two, in these rules of communication, never think that telling someone info means they get it one time. That's why repetition is the key. Never think because you said, well, I told them. How many times you ever said that? You're listening to right now, you're sitting in your car, you're in your office, and you said, that's me. I've said that before. Well, I told them what to do. Well, telling isn't training. Telling isn't communicating. Telling is acknowledging that there's something out there, but repetition is a level of communication we need to get to. Never think that telling somebody one time means they get it. How many times you tell your kid not to do something and how many times did they do it? They repeated doing it even though you told them not to. The brain isn't wired to take it one time. It's constant. That's why the Bible says faith comes from hearing, a consistent hearing, not a one-time heard, right? The third thing is never trust your brain to remember anything. Man, this is big for Terry. And that's my own life, is I write things down. I use my notepad in my phone. I handwrite things. I have things written down. Text messaging, an email, paper trail. Never trust your brain. Always put it in there. And here's the thing, don't delete them until it's all over and done, right? So that's what you have to realize. Don't trust your brain to remember everything. Write things down. Put it down in a document. Watch this. Never assume anything, not one thing. Don't assume it, whether it is small or great. This is communication rule. Go find it. Get the right information. Don't think that you know. And if there's a question, a hesitation, go ask the question. Watch. Always be precise. Don't estimate. Don't be precise. What is it you want? Do you want 10 or do you want, 10 to 12? Be precise. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you're expecting. Don't estimate, because estimations leave room for interpretation. Interpretations are not always the same. And so the minute you leave it up to an estimate, that's an interpretation. Now they have the right to make their own decisions. And I know people in leadership that let's just say numbers. They said, hey, get me 50 to 100. And the guy's like, I'm lazy. I'm only going to do 50. Well, when it comes time to pull the trigger on the event, they said, well, I told you to make 100. No, you told me to do 50 to 100. Well, you should have done 100. Nope. See, that's estimating. You left it open for interpretation, which now you've caused failure. Just an example. Watch this. Have your instructions repeated to you. So when you, leader, boss, manager, supervisor, or employee, if there's instructions, repeat it. Have them tell you what you just told them. This is a huge thing from me to my team is, hey, what did I just want you to do? Repeat that to me. It's not belittling. It's not insulting intelligence. It's communication. Why? Because success is imminent when there's proper communication, right? Repeat commands. If you're under authority and receiving commands, repeat commands and instructions that were given to you. So I'm giving them to you, you tell me back. If I give them to you, you repeat them to me. So it's just like, even if they don't ask, let me just make sure I got this right. That's a response. Let me make sure I got this right. Let me make sure this is what you were asking. Let me make sure. So there's nothing wrong with that, right? This is how we make sure that that things are happening right around us. And the last thing is, on teams, synchronize your information with people around you. We're in an age that you can synchronize everything. You have, if you just took off of one thing, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google whatever, it can be synced. Everybody has access. There's many apps out there. There's many other programs out there besides Google that can do the same thing. It's collaborative. It's everybody's keeping track. Everybody's able to do their own thing. It's synchronizing the information. You're in an age where this should be so simple, yet so many people fail for lack of communication. Those are some of my rules. Communication is a key to success. I would almost venture to say it's the number one key to success. It's the golden rule to success. That's kind of the way I feel about it, but I'm just making it a key. Let's talk about the difference between dispersion and retrieval. This is a key. If you can get your whole team, if you can get wrapped around this, you get your whole team wrapped around this, you get your church wrapped around this, you get your business partners wrapped around this, you get your employees wrapped around this, whatever it is, if you will understand this principle, I'm telling you, you will find greater ease and having great success than you've ever had before, because you eliminate the blame, the I didn't know, or who was supposed to do it. You eliminate all that because you get this information out there. First of all, let's talk about disbursement. This would be the boss, the leader, the supervisor, the pastor, whoever that is. Disbursement, you've got to understand this. Extreme exertion. If you're going to do this, extreme exertion to spread information through the team. I mean, you got to give a ton of energy. You've got to constantly repeat yourself. Listen, a minimum of 10 times is barely enough to repeat yourself. This is extreme exertion. That's constantly putting the information out there. Hey guys, like for our church, we're getting ready to do a 3-day crusade in Central City, Kentucky. And right now we're working on, and the day that we're shooting this podcast, we're working with other people in that city. A pastor, we're working with the mayor, we're working with other people. If I don't have my team constantly communicating down there and we show up, we're going to miss some stuff because we're assuming that they know. No, it's extreme exertion. Watch this. I've asked those that are on my team that are setting it up a number of times, hey, where are we at? What's going on? Did we get the property? Did we get the permits? Did you get this right here? We've already talked about it, but now extreme exertion means it takes energy and effort from me as the leader to put the pressure on them to find out the information that I need so that I can sleep well, right? And I'm not just waiting on them. That's retrieval I'm talking about. But disbursement is I'm telling them, I need this, I need you to get with the mayor. I need you to get with the bank. I need you to get with the utility company. I need you to get with the pastors. I'm telling them everything I've gone through with extreme exertion. I didn't just tell them, I emailed them. I didn't just email them, I texted them and said, check your email. I then followed back up with another email. Then I followed up with a one-on-one conversation face-to-face. Then I had a staff meeting. This is what I've done to get this thing. You've got to be tenacious about making sure that information gets to them. You can't just say it one time. That's poor leadership, by the way. You can't say it one time and expect them to do it. If that was the case, tell your kid one time. Tell your dog one time not to pee in the house when he's a puppy. Tell your dog one time not to chew on the shoes or chew the couch. One time, and it don't work. Why? It's the people that are no different. You got to be tenacious with extreme exertion to spread the information. Second thing about dispersion, it's got to be accurate, precise, and thorough distribution of the information. This will cause cohesion. If you're precise, if you're thorough, and if you're accurate, it creates cohesion on your team. Everybody understands it. Watch this. More relationships, marriages fail for lack of communication. Business partners lack for communication. Churches lack because of communication. Nobody knows what's going on. Teams and department heads lack for failure to communicate a flow of a service. And so it's difficult, but when everybody's on the same page, accurate, precise, and thorough, man, it's a well-oiled machine, and you're definitely going to find great success, right? Also, when you are dispersing accurate, precise, and thorough, you're removing the I did not know syndrome. That again, in leadership, I hate that. I didn't know. I wasn't sure. I didn't know it was me. No, you were accurate leader. You were precise leader. You were thorough leader to make sure everybody knew what was supposed to be, and everybody knew what everybody else's job was. So there was I did not know. There was no room for that if you're accurate and precise and thorough. This is disbursement. Most leaders say things one time, shoot one email, send one text, and that's it, and expect that level of communication to generate success. It's got to be accurate, precise, and thorough. It's got to be extreme exertion. This is what disbursement looks like. The third thing, watch this. Information must be propelled upstream to authority, dispersed, and downstream to the team. It's got to be propelled. That means you got to like shout it from the rooftops. Don't just put it out to one person. Put it out to numerous people. This is a key. This must be the reality for every team. Disperse information up. So if you're under authority, you've got to be sending information to them. Why? Because they're looking for it. They want to know what's going on. They want a status report. They shouldn't have to ask you for it, though they should ask you for it. You should be dispersing information up just like you expect them to disperse information down. When the mindset becomes ownership, watch what happens. Success and cohesion and the flow of this is imminent in front of you if you will get disbursement. Let's talk about retrieval. Just real quick. I'm talking about communication. This will make or break your business. It'll make or break your church, your department, whatever it is. If you're not communicating, most of the time we're not communicating, we use the answer of, well, it wasn't my job, I didn't know, or blame somebody else. We're eliminating that today. Why? Because we want to be successful. We want productivity. We want to have progress in our ministry. We want to have progress in our business. We want to have progress, right? So we're doing that. So we went from disbursement, which is kind of the idea for most people, but let's talk about retrieval today. Just 4 thoughts. Number 1, information is the most valuable commodity to a successful event, successful vision, or the daily operations. Communication is the most valuable commodity. If it's the most valuable commodity, go get it. Go find the information that you need to be successful. If this is a mindset most people don't have, I'm just being honest. You talk about your team, you think about your team, you think about the people that are under you, those that you lead, the business that you own. Most people don't think it's that communication or information, I should say, is the most valuable commodity. They think they are. They think the product is. But the reality is, without information about the product, whether you're giving it to your clients or you're giving it to your team, without that information, that thing isn't very valuable. It's not going to be successful. But the more information you gain, the more successful that you can be at your task to fulfill that vision, that daily operation, or that event, right? We must seek relentlessly all information needed to accomplish our part. This is ownership mentality. If you are owning this, if this is your yes, and this is your passion and your purpose, then you must be relentless about the seeking of that information so you can be successful. You can do your part. Watch, if we fail to get the necessary answers, it's our fault. If we fail, it's not just the person over me. If I understand this, that retrieval is part of communication, and I don't go get it, that's my fault, because that's my laziness. I should not wait for my leader to send it to me. When I was second in charge, I lived this right here. I had to get it all the time. I had to text, call, email, stop at their house. I was making sure that my in-laws, when they were over me, I was going to get information. Why? Because I wasn't going to be the blame. I wasn't going to be because they said, go do this, and I didn't have a clue what we were doing, and I didn't go ask. No, I was making sure, because if I failed, that wasn't their fault, it's mine, because I understand ownership here. Second thing is search and seizure. Search and seizure is the method that must be employed in order to obtain the information. Search and seize. You ever lost your keys and you couldn't go nowhere, but you were going to be late for an appointment? You tore everything upside down. You went into people's rooms. You went into people's closets. You went into people's drawers. You went everywhere trying to find your keys. And when you got it, you really didn't think twice about it. You didn't care. You just were able to not be late to attend your appointment. This is the idea. Much energy is required in this. There's nothing else more important till you get the info you need. This is retrieval mindset. And you've got to be this way, because why? We want to be successful. We want to be productive, right? The third thing here is never wait for or depend on others to give you the information you need. Don't sit back and wait. That's lazy. That's not ownership. That's volunteer, right? That's just somebody there for a paycheck. If you're on the job, is you're waiting on everybody else to give you what you need to accomplish your task. No, man, go do it. Go get it. It's retrieval. This is part of communication. You want to be successful? How about this? If you're under the authority and you want a promotion, go get all the information you need while everybody else is waiting, and you get your job done and be successful and do their job because you went and got the information. This is what this looks like, is you never wait or depend on somebody else to give you what you know you need. Go get it. This is retrieval mindset. Listen, this shifted our whole ministry back in 2018 or 2019 when I implemented this into my staff. It's not about just me giving it to you. Have you knocked on my door? Have you emailed me? Have you texted me? And when we started doing that, things are starting to click. We're growing. We're doing more than we've ever done. Why? Because now we have great communication amongst ourselves. The last one is this. Failure to know info from anyone is your fault solely. This is what the under retrieval mindset. It's your fault if you don't know. And when I tell my team this, is don't blame somebody else why you didn't know. That's your fault. Don't say, well, I didn't know. That's your fault. And when I relayed that back to the team, they've eliminated I don't know and the blame game. Here's what they haven't completely, right now. We don't always completely eliminate it, but the majority of the time, I'd say 80% of the time, we take responsibility because we recognize success is imminent upon great communication. And if I didn't go get what I needed, that's on me. And this is what I'm talking about, retrieval. When you're talking about communication is a key to success, and in my mind is the key to success, there's two types of it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way. It's a two-way street, right? And it's a highway. What does that mean? You've got a north and south, an east and a west, right? So you have to have the dispersing and the retrieval. You've got to, with extreme exertion, go tell everybody with accurate, precise, and thorough distribution of all information. And you got to propel it up and downstream. And retrieval, you got to realize the information is the most valuable commodity to success. You got to search and seize it. You can't wait or depend on somebody else. And if you don't know, it's solely on you. Hey, this is my thoughts today. Go apply some of these things. Go apply dispersion and go apply retrieval. If you've only been a dispersing team, hey, go flip this thing. Go make it a retrieval. Put in ownership. Demand ownership into your team and watch the success increase as you do this. Hey, until next time, this is my thought. Communication is a key to success, and you've got to learn to disperse and retrieve it. Until next time, I pray that God's anointing will get all over you and allow you and help you to accomplish everything He's called you to do.